استغفر الله العظيم استغفر ما شاء الله هواة لفقه النكد ما شاء الله وتبارك الله. Anyway, so what happens? The Prophet ﷺ said a believer is like a honeybee. That when that honeybee takes in, how often do you see a honeybee by the garbage bin? You don't. That's not where they belong. You will not find a honeybee by the garbage bin. Where do you find honeybees? Find them in the gardens. Find them by flowers. Find them in green places, because that's where they belong. So the Prophet ﷺ said, where do you find a believer? That's where you find a believer. And then what happens said that when anything comes out of honeybee, what comes out of a honeybee? شراب مختلف ألوانه فيه شفاء للناس. Said that out of its belly يخرج من بطونها إيش؟ شراب. It's a drink. You know, the other day I brought some honey and I took it with me to the airport. And I got to the security. He looked at it and he said, "That's too much drink." I said, "That's not drink. That is honey." Honey is what? Is honey food? Actually, honey is a drink. The Quran says honey is a drink. يخرج من بطونها شراب. It's a drink, he said that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مختلف ألوانه. He said that it's variants of colors. Why is that? Depending on the flowers that they visited, that's what determines all of this. You know that فيه شفاء للناس, in it is cure and medicinal purposes for people. Said that. So what comes out of a believer? كلام طيب. What comes out of a believer is just good words. You know, sometimes I like to sit with the youngsters and I say, do your parents call you names at home? Yeah, كثير كثير كثير. What kind of names do they call you? Oh man, I couldn't even tell you some of the stuff that we call each other at home. خير إن شاء الله. من بقرة وجحش وحمار وما شاء الله. نطبع على كل الحيوانات ما شاء الله تبارك الله. All kinds of, you know, different names that we call each other. So, man, it's not befitting. A believer is like a honeybee. Only good stuff comes out of them. But then the Prophet ﷺ also mentioned something else. إذا قعدت على عود, so that when it lands on a branch, what happens? Said لم تكسره ولم تفسده. It will neither destroy it, break it, nor will it corrupt it. Subhanallah. Did you know the following? 1/3. And this is a piece of information that can make you very rich. It said that 1/3 of the food that we eat is possible because of honeybees. 1/3 of the food that we eat is possible because of honeybees. Why? Pollination. Pollination. You ask any farmers. Said, what happens when you see honeys in your garden? He said, I love it, man. That's when I know things are going to go very well. Ask a farmer, what happens when you see a grasshopper in your farm? I tell you, man, that's devastating news. So that's the worst news. You know, nowadays you can actually be a honeybee farmer, where people would actually, you know, transport bees into gardens simply because the farmers want their fruits and their trees to be pollinated, and honeybees are the best to do the pollination. Well, we've got something really, really scary happening nowadays. I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but I want you to YouTube it, inshallah. You know what's happening in the US? Honeybees are disappearing. Wallahi, this is serious business. It is such a serious business that anybody can come up with an explanation as to why the honeybees are disappearing. You will get $1 million. Well, that's not me giving you the $1 million. Don't count on that. But that is, the government actually said that we will give you $1 million if you can give us an explanation as to what is going on with the honeybees. Here's what they're finding out. Honeybees, they never desert or leave their hive. They just don't. That is not how they operate. They never leave honey behind. So what they do now is that they have these bees, honey bees, one day, and then the next day, they're not there anymore. So they come in, they look for them, maybe they're dead. Find out that they're not, they're nowhere to be found. They left the honey behind, they left the beehive behind, and they just took off. And we cannot explain where they went. Some people have suggested it is all the wireless, what do you call the wireless, the towers that we have created. That they say that it's the wires that the towers that we have created to do the cell. What are they called? What am I talking about?
Communication.
The communication towers. Especially for the cell phones and all the cellular communication. So they say that because the way that bees get around, what they're saying is that these bees are very disturbed by us, messing up with their system up there. But whatever the case is, the honeybees are disappearing at this point. The point of all of this is we can say all the good, beautiful things that we want to say about Islam. However, if we do not speak about Islam in ways that are relevant, we are going to lose. And if we do not practice the teachings of Islam, we are going to lose. So what we're hoping for is that as Muslims, we address real problems. Real problems. And with all due respect, Ikhwan, and please do not be upset with what I am about to say. Sometimes we discuss absolutely the least important, the silliest things in the name of Islam. As you know, Ibn Umar was once said, these people are killing one another. And somebody came to Ibn Umar and said, while the battle is going on, they said, you know what? ما حكم دم الباعوض على ثيابنا? What do they inquire about? So what's the ruling regarding the blood of mosquitoes in our clothes? Man, you need a microscope to see that. But what happens is that you're inquiring about these types of questions. Akhi, I'm sorry, but that's just, wallahi, that's silly. That is really silly. Sometimes, people ask questions and I say, why are you even asking me this question? This question is such a personal decision that you make. Sisters call you and say, Sheikh, can I cut my hair short? Yeah, sister, you can go bald if you want to. Why are you asking me? Do whatever you want. But why? What? Because, and I will stop with this. Because see, the majority of the Quran is not halal and haram. Wallahi, the majority of the Quran is not halal and haram. عدد آيات الأحكام في القرآن كم آية؟ يعني الآيات المتعلقة بالفقه كم آية؟ They refer to this as the verses of jurisprudence. How many verses deal with fiqh related issues in the Quran? Take a guess. يعني مطمط قد ما تقدر maybe 350 verses they deal with أحكام. القرآن فيه كم آية؟ فوق 6,000. Over 6,000 verses. Wait a minute. So if the verses that have to do with fiqh, jurisprudence related are 350, we have a very important question to ask. ال5,000 الباقيات وين راحوا? The other 5,000 verses, what do they talk about? What do they address? What do they address? Are you all following what I'm talking about? Billahi alaykum, isn't this a question that we really need to be looking into? I'll give you one final example, inshallah, and then we will finish. Kida sahya, one final example and we finish, inshallah. The issue of wudu. Wudu, before how we wash before we get to prayers. How much is that? How much does that take in the Quran? How much wudu is there in the Quran? آية ونص. مرة في سورة المائدة ومرة في سورة النساء. The issue of wudu in the Quran is addressed in a verse and a half. حلو؟ طيب. What about the issue of al-yatim, orphans? 18 times. You think that we would have a discussion about that which the Quran made a big deal of? No. What do we make a big deal of? That which the Quran has made to be very little, what do? We make it as if it was the essence of the Quran. And don't get me wrong, it is important. A'udhu billah, we're not saying it's not important, but saying that we give it importance in accordance to how big of an importance the Quran gave it. So if Allah addressed it in a verse and a half, it should be kept simple. But what we like to do is that we like to complicate that which is simple and simplify that which is complicated. And that is why, subhanAllah, in the 4th year of Hijrah,
we have 5 minutes for Adel. So we wanted to do if all possible.
So in the 4th year of Bi'tha, what does the Quran reveal to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ? Have you seen the one who belies religion? Who belies religion? One who doesn't believe in Allah, one who doesn't believe in all of this. What does the Quran pick as a character of that person? إيش يقول عنه? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمَ. It is the one who repels the orphan with harshness. وبعدين وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. And it is he who does not encourage the feeding of the poor and the needy. Anyways, we could have gone on and on and on with this topic, but these are, inshallah, just what they say, food for thought. So inshallah, we can entertain a question or two, inshallah, if you have one. Please.
What was the name of the video on YouTube about the bee?
Yeah. So if you want to go to the look up the beehive, the honeybees on YouTube, just search for the disappearance of honeybees, and you will find, my God, you will find hundreds upon hundreds of videos, different explanations of that, inshallah. Adel, you have a question, since you were the one that stopped us.
I have a question. So you mentioned like how we should kind of the idea of when in Rome, be like the Romans. Here in America, how do we go about establishing our own culture? But should we leave like some of our culture from back home? Should we carry that with us as well?
Well, that's a really good question, and it's a very long answer. So the brother did you hear what the brother said? I don't care. Yeah, never fails, man. Yeah. So his question is, you know what? He refers to when you are in Rome, do as the Romans. What about the culture here? Do we leave the culture from back home, or what do we do? See, sometimes we do believe that somehow the American culture cannot be part of our culture. Remember, some aspects of the American culture are more Islamic than our own cultures. Can I give you an example? Who respects time more, Americans or Muslims? If you invite people to a wedding, and the wedding starts at 7 o'clock, when do you tell people to come? You all getting what I'm saying? If you tell Americans that, you know what, I'm getting married tonight at 7 o'clock, when do Americans show up? No, they show up 6:55 the day before. Okay? So who respects time more? Don't they? Who respects privacy more? Who respects, the idea of this is your business more? Who respects distance more? Is that a bad culture? Is that really a bad culture? It's not. So what we do is that wherever we go, are some aspects of